Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Hey, welcome to the Studio Q show live. My name is Quinn Jacobson. And whenever you're watching this, whether it's live like we are right now, or if it's next week, next year, whatever, I think you're going to enjoy what we have in store today. I'm going to try something new today. We tested this the other day, and I just figured out how to pull in Skype people in and show them and do all that stuff. So if you want to call in the next hour, hour and a half, we might even go a little longer than that, you're welcome to. My username on Skype is Quinn Jacobson, Q-U-I-N-N-J-A-C-O-B-S-O-N, all together. You can call up. We'll do that in just a little bit. Give me a second to get all my ducks in a row here. I'm going to put, I've got the chat popped out, so I'm going to try to keep my eye on that. But to be honest with you, there's Patrick already here. Pat. Hello.
Get all my ducks in a row here.
Morning, Quinn.
Hey, I might have to mute myself here. Let's see. We got double audio here going.
With you.
Hold on. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let me try this. I'm going to put you up on screen here. I figured out how to do this, believe it or not. So we have really some good stuff today, I think. And I got Patrick up on the screen now. There you go. So we have some good stuff today. We're going to have, whoop, I shrunk you down too small, didn't I? Where are you? What happened to you?
I don't know. Oh, there I am.
You see me? Do you see yourself?
I see myself.
Okay. I don't see. We'll wait for some folks to get in here. Let me see here. Yeah, we're okay. Good morning, everybody. I see the chat too. Good evening. Hey. So we have a good little group coming in here. We're just at 10 o'clock a.m. here in Denver, so we're coming on. Yeah, we're going to have fun. So this is what we're going to do today. We are going to have, let me do this. Let me take this out just for a second here, Patrick. We're going to have everybody's trying to call in now. Hey, Tim, wait just a little bit, okay? We'll get you in here in just a second. We're going to have this happen. Can everybody hear me? I think you can.
Yes.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to have some P.O.P printing happening today. And I'm going to walk you through how to make, we talked about making the emulsion last week. I showed you how to do that. We're going to talk about now prepping the paper. You saw a little bit of that. I'm going to go over that again. And pouring the paper and then printing out. And we're going to do Collodio-Chloride today. And that was invented in 1864 by a guy named Wharton Simpson. We talked a little bit about that. But it's a beautiful printing out process, or printing out paper, P.O.P paper. Very archival. In my mind, very simple to do. You have to have good negatives. That's the exciting thing about today. If you have my book, we're going to be working on page 151. But what I'm going to do, if you turn to 151, you'll see where we're at here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with printing. I'm going to make 4 prints today. And the first one is going to be this one here. And actually, what I've done is I've offered 4 books with these 4 prints out, and 3 of them are gone right now. Ireland, Poland, and Michigan, I believe. And I'll have one more. So the first one we're going to do is this negative here, the one that I just showed you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why do you have this lithograph tape around your image here. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and why I do that. You're going to see it in the print as well. But I want to walk you through, I don't know how many calls I can take here. Let's see. Tim, is that you, buddy?
Yes, it is.
All right. How you doing? I think I just bumped Patrick out, though. That's good, though. we can switch back and forth, I think. But at the end of the day, let me see if I can. There's no video here, so on your end, I'll just crank you up a little bit. So bear with us, guys. This is all new stuff for me. So, so good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I want to start on this thing. Let's do this. Let's work through the process for a minute, and when I get a break, when we're washing a print or doing whatever, we'll take calls in. Can you call back in at that time? Yeah? Good deal. Call back in when we're on a break here. Accept. Okay, great, super duper. I'm going to wait to take the calls, okay? Because it'll get a little confusing if I don't. Good morning, Merrick. Good morning, Sasha. No worries. Nobody's ever late. Yeah, Tim, I want you to Skype back in, but just give me a minute. Give me just a minute, buddy. I can't take the calls right now, so give me just a bit. And we're going to do those on the break. That's what I thought it'd be nice to do. Let me pull this over. I'll show you what we're going to do today. It's a beautiful sunny morning, as you can see, probably the light streaming in here. We're doing Collodio-Chloride Prints, and we're going to talk about paper prep, what kind of paper you need. We talked a little bit about that last week. We're going to talk about lithographing the negatives, kind of like how you do carbon printing. I like to do that for Collodio-Chloride or any P.O.P paper. Some people like the rough edges. If you don't like that, you can take the tape off and print them out, but I'll show you this way. We're going to talk about pouring the paper, the glass support, and how I manage that. And then we're going to do the printing. We're going to use the Ryonet. I'm not going to use the sun today because I want to show you consistency, and so you can do this in the winter time. And my negatives vary a little bit. We'll talk about that, but you'll get much more consistent results if you have a steady, like a UV screen printer or a UV box or printing out box, whatever you want to use. Our times will probably be between 8 and 12 minutes, somewhere in there. We'll see how it goes. That's when I'll be able to take your calls and answer your questions and that kind of stuff. So hang in there for me. I'm glad you guys are eager to call in. That's great. I love it. We're going to talk about washing the silver out. We're going to talk about fixing. We're going to talk about toning. And then we're going to wash and dry, and I'll show you how to flatten these images. This is exciting today for me because I'm actually going to do some prints that are going out, like I said, with 3 of these books. I think we're going to do this one for Peter in Ireland there, the tree shot. I don't know if you can see that, but that's that. We're going to print that one today. This one will go to our friend in Poland, the first one I do. And then the gentleman in Michigan will get this one. And then we'll print the final one, which is the Silas Soul grave here. We're going to do this one here, his grave site. And I'm going to talk about each one of these. You can't see them very well here, but you'll definitely see them printed. So those are the 4 negatives we're going to work with today. It'll go fairly fast once I get going. But first things first in that order, I'm going to slide this back over here. We're going to talk about, I'm going to slide you guys back just a little bit. We're going to talk about how do you prepare this paper. What is the paper first off? Page 151, if you want to follow me along in the book, I'm going to pretty much keep that going. I'm going to slide this completely out of the way here. You can follow me along in the book if you'd like. First of all, let's talk about the paper. I talked to you last week about this readily available Canson Baryta paper. You can use most any Baryta paper. I have to say not all will work. I've had ADOX paper that I've tried that doesn't work with this process very well. Most of the Hahnemuhle that I've tried do a fairly good job. The Fine Art Baryta paper works well. I'm using today, I cut this down from 11 by 14. You can see on the negative about how big we'll print here. I'll have plenty of room around that. This is a Fine Art rag. We call it rag paper, right? Acid-free cotton paper. I got 100 sheets of this 11 by 14 Fine Art Baryta paper out of Rochester, New York, years ago. Can't remember the gentleman's name, but it was the last they had. I like to do, these prints are going out to people. So what I like to do is I like to use the very highest quality stuff I have to do this. And you'll see my process. You'll see the end result. If we get bored, I'm definitely going to do at least 2 prints. But if we get bored, we'll have at least 2 of them we can see really well. Fareed, yes, this paper right here. That's the test paper if you want to use it. The only thing I don't like about that Canson Baryta inkjet paper is it's got that anti-curling. Hold on, Tim. Hold on, Tim. We're going to take those in just a bit. We're going to take we'll take calls when I get a break here. Sorry. Got really anxious about that, I guess. The only thing I don't like about the Canson paper is it has an anti-curl chemical on it that will come off in the wash after you wash it a while. The wash will start getting milky and it'll get on the front of the image, and I don't like that stuff. I don't have any of that on this Fine Art Baryta paper. The Hanamiel Fine Art Baryta paper didn't have any on it. So if you're going to the extent of making a wet collodion negative and you've got material that you want to print, you can test it on that Canson inkjet, and even you can print it out and it's fine. You can tone it, you fix it, all that stuff. But I would recommend looking, going a little higher quality and looking for something with a little more quality. That's what it is, really, quality. I've asked Canson if they would consider making a Baryta paper, that Baryta paper, without the anti-curl chemical. And we were making some progress on it, and then I just kind of left, never said any more about it. So I don't know, you know how they are. Put a pair of gloves on. I'm going to start with paper prep. Remember our little list here? I'm going to slide you up into here so you can see this. I'm going to turn you down like that. Maybe you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. I have a piece of my Fine Art Baryta paper here, emulsion side up. I'm going to take my ruler. This is how I like to do it. You can do it any way you want, but the idea here is to use a little bit of the edge and curl it over and create like a boat or a container inside to hold your emulsion, your collodion, while you flow it. But I'm going to show you a trick here that I like to use. And I've never seen anyone do this, but this is how I do it. I'm going to fold that side, and look how hardcore I fold those down. I mean, those edges are folded down. Fold them down. And you say, well, let's see. Say, that's too far. Well, watch what I do here. I'm going to turn it around. How much am I doing? About 5 millimeters or a quarter of an inch or so. This is all I really need. Do that side. Now look, I'm going to leave these folded down. These edges folded down. I'll lay the ruler over the top of them like this. Let me get you out in the light. Can you see that better? Maybe. I'm going to leave those edges curled down. So it actually folds over on itself. I'll show you what I mean here. So this folds over on itself. You see that? Turn it around. I'll do it this side. And I have all 4 corners folded. And then we'll go in the darkroom and pour this baby. So there. So I got it folded over. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse myself a little bit and open these back up. And I'm going to open this one down here all the way up like that so I can flow the collodion off of that edge. But look, these corners are going to stay stable. You don't want them touching the paper. You want to create that boat. I see a lot of people, well, not a lot of people. I've seen a few people, they use big sheets of paper and put big, corners on them and that. You don't really need to do that. You don't need that much fold on it. But that's a little boat there, ready to pour the collodion on it, okay? I'll do both of these real quick while we chat here. Again, let me bring you in. You can watch this again. Sorry about the shadow. Maybe if I push you back there, can you still see? I think you can. So here we go again. I'll do 2 of these. I've got 4 pieces of this already prepped in there. I've already flowed collodion on 4 pieces of this. And I ended up doing the P.O.P paper as well. So I'll talk about that. That's interesting paper. And it does work, actually. That's the first time I've ever heard of anyone doing Collodio-Chloride on P.O.P paper. We'll talk about that in a minute. Remind me and I'll reiterate that. Yupo paper is a plastic or synthetic quote paper. I use it in carbon and oil stuff, especially tissues, carbon tissues. So there we are again, all folded. Open one end, get these others kind of folded up so you can flow them. Let's go in the dark room and flow both of these papers. So we've prepped our paper, we cut it, we fold it, and it's ready for collodion chloride. So we have plenty of battery here. I'm full, actually. So let's go into the dark room. Thanks. So soon the chemicals and process in the blood, I go for the real stuff. Yeah, there you go. Next week we're going to do, I'm actually going to do a whole series or a whole video on safety, chemistry, handling, prepping, all that stuff. So if you're interested in that, tune in next week too. But this week we're going to make some prints. Into the dark room we go. Let's turn on the red light because I do have some prints hanging over here. Here's our 4 prints that we've done earlier. These are the 2 we're going to pour now. And I actually have 2 pieces of Yupo paper right here as well too. Yupo looks okay. That piece looks better than this piece, but that's okay. So let's set you down here again. Welcome to my dark room again. Paper's folded. I'll set this one to the side. Here's our emulsion that we made last week. You remember that? I'll open it up, pull the top off. Our little plastic tab in there. It's just a used collodion jug. This is my glass support, and I just have a piece of blue tape down here. And what I do is I hang the paper off, whatever size it might be. I hang the paper off that corner so I can pour the collodion off there. It stays on the glass support. So here we go. Let's pour this emulsion onto the paper. You ready? I don't know how well you can see this, but you'll get the idea here. So here we go. Nice big puddle. And just like pouring a collodion plate, I like to work it around, get everything covered. Kind of go in succession, or A, B, C, D if you can, if you're following my book there. We drain that off. That little opening down there gives me a nice place to drain. I'll set my bottle down. I'll lift my paper up. Rather than taping all the corners and everything down, I don't do any of that. I'm just able now to pop that off, put my support down. If it's keep draining, that's fine. I'm going to cover this up real quick. I won't screw that completely on. I'll give you a little vision up here. And I'll come over here and I'll hang it up right there, just like that. I'll move this Yupo over here next to this Yupo. These are dried anyway, so we're good to go on that. Now I have a hole for that one there. I'll put this one over here. Oh, it's about the same, isn't it? I'll put it right there. All right, next paper. Make sure you don't have anything that's fallen down on it like I just did there. There we go, looks good. Sorry. Looks good. Back onto our support. Just kind of tack it down there in the corner like that. Open our bottle of emulsion up again. Nice big puddle. You get a lot of mileage out of 300 mils of collodion chloride if you work it right. It's really goes a long way. You'd be amazed how many prints you can do. So there we go. And then off into this corner like that and drain it off. Makes sense, I hope? Yeah? I think it does. I just let it drain for a little bit until I see a drip. Then I can pull the paper off, let it keep dripping, put my support to the side, and we are golden. I'm going to cap my Collodio-Chloride emulsion back up and hang my paper. I kind of unfold these corners. They'll build up on the sides if you don't, so I just kind of unfold those. And beautiful, perfect. Just like that, I'll hang those up. And let me go grab, I've got the fan running in here. Let me go grab, actually, I'll just take you over there. So here's a poured sheet here. I don't know if you can see that, but that emulsion is just beautiful. Same with that. This is, we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to pull one of these down, and we'll go load it in. Let's go talk about negatives first real quick, and then we'll come back in and load these. So let's do this. Come on out here. Welcome welcome to the light, back into the bright light. So let's talk about the next thing. You've prepped your paper, you've cut it, you folded it with your ruler, you're ready to, you've poured your emulsion on, it's hanging, it dries very fast, you know, maybe 5 minutes here, 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe. You've got your negative prep. Now let me just take a couple of minutes and talk about why I put ruby or lithograph tape around the edges of this. For one thing, we know that light will not penetrate, or for collodion it won't. It'll give the blackout, right? It'll give a white edge on this paper. It'll be a nice clean line. A lot of times on negatives, on any glass plates, right, or metal plates, tin types, ambrotypes, negatives, there's a lot of stuff that you might not want. So this is kind of a way of cropping, if you will, cleaning up the edge if you don't want that raw edge. If you want that raw edge, don't put the tape on. Here's the thing. The way I put tape on, do I have that? Yeah, I have it roll here. I use this 5mm or 1/4 inch, what do they call this? I think it's just lithograph tape. It's just Scotch lithograph tape, I think. And I put it on the glass side. I don't put it on the emulsion side. I lay it on the glass side, and I just do the one strip 5mm around the image. And if I want to crop something out, I can use more of it. I can double it up or whatever I want to do, make it twice as wide. I actually have some 1/2 inch over there, I think, too. But the idea here is you just clean the edge up. It makes it nice and tidy and clean, and also it just makes a clean edge image is all I'm trying to say. So if you want to do it, you can. If you don't, that's fine. So that's the lithograph tape. The great thing I was going to say, I just kind of had a stutter in my head. I was going to say the great thing about it is once you do that, now you can use those images for carbon tissues, right? So carbon, you have to do this so you don't get the frilling. Those ragged edges will not hold on a tissue. You just can't transfer that. So that's what you have to do for carbon tissue anyway. I've got a couple little examples that we'll do on the P.O.P paper that I've actually printed carbon, a portrait and I don't know what that is, some bottles, I guess. We're going to print those on that P.O.P paper in there, and I've printed them on carbon as well too, and they look good. So they were already edged with the lithograph. So does that all make sense? I hope it does, and I hope we're on the same page there. So what's the next thing you need? You've cut your paper, you folded it, you poured it, you're hanging to dry, your negatives prep. You know, emulsion to emulsion, right, on your paper. When we get in there, I'll show you emulsion to emulsion. But what do you use? I have 4 of these. These are contact printing frames. And if you look on eBay or you look around, you can find, Craigslist, go to flea markets. I've got 4 of these 8x10s, and then I got an 11-14, and then I have a 20x24. So I have, I guess, 6 of these printing frames for all sizes. I normally don't mass produce images, so 4 of these are fine. They do all my whole plate, my half plate, my square. These are 6 inch by 6 inch or 15 centimeters. So these hold just great. What's the composition? What is the composition of these printers? They have the back or the spring back. They're spring loaded. This is where your negative and your print sits. You have the frame itself, of course, here, and then you have a glass cover. This is really important that this is clean when you're printing, right? You don't want any smudge marks or whatever. It'll all show up on your image. So make sure that's clean. I am going to take you in the darkroom right now, and we will go. Let's go load. Man. Do I dare carry this image and the contact printer and the computer? I guess I do. I can do it. Here we go. And I'll show you the Ryonet. If you didn't get to see that last week, we'll take a look at that. So let's go back in the darkroom here. Come on into the spinning door to the dark side. And here we are. I'm going to set you up over here again because this is where I'm going to load it. So there's my negative, and I always want to, that's another easy thing. if you do the glass side with the ruby lith or the lithograph tape, you'll know the other side is the emulsion side. So it's really easy to distinguish that. And sometimes people have a hard time determining what side is the emulsion and what side is the glass. So I'm going to set all these pieces apart here. And this is how I do it. You can do it any way you want, but there's my contact printing frame, bottom, the spring back, the frame, and the glasses right here. I've got a little guillotine chopper here. I'm going to go grab a piece of this paper. And the first one out of the gate looks great. That looks super good. Wonderful emulsion. You know, I'm not going to do that. I'll just leave it. I'll just chop these little 5mm. If you don't want those little boat corners on them, you can take them off. Makes it a little flatter. You don't run the risk of having something come up on you, so we're close to it. So there we go. I'll just set that to the side. You can do that or not, it doesn't matter. So here we go. This is our emulsion side. I'm just going to verify that and position it in a place that we like. Actually, I'm going to turn it around. You notice the break here? I want to be able to lift this side up, the big side up, and look at the image as we're printing it. So I'm going to put everything, most everything. The most critical is that rabbit skull, to my mind. I'm going to get it nice and centered so it looks good on the paper. Just like that. So there we go. Take my glass sheet, put my glass over the top of it, and put my frame over it. I'll put this way. Put my frame over it, flip it over, lock it in place, and there we go. It's ready to print out. Let's go throw it in the Ryonet. Pretty easy, right? I mean, there's no rocket science here, guys. Anybody can do this. It's just basically getting your emulsion right and getting the steps right. There it is. That's how it looks here. So let's talk about the Ryonet. This is a Ryonet RXP screen printing box. I'm going to start with 7 minutes. I'm going to see where we get with 7 minutes. If we open it up, I have a little piece of styrofoam in here. It's all clean. Everything's ready to go. There's our negative and paper. Face down on the Ryonet. Close it up. Actually, I know this negative. I'll start with 7 and see where we're at. 7, there it is. So now we can go over and take some questions, okay? Let me set this down. We'll move back in and do some questions. Sorry about that, guys. Hold on. I'll move this out of the way too. There we go. Okay. We're back in business. Man, that battery lasts, really does a good job. Oh, Quinn, when you get to calls, if you go to the Skype app, file, menu, let's do that. Skype app, file, new group. Okay, cool. Thanks, Pat. You're on it. Studio Q show, we'll call it. That's awesome. That is awesome. Now I need to find you guys, right? There's Patrick Doyle, and where's Tim at? I saw Tim up here somewhere. There's Tim. I guess I can add more back in, huh? If we want. Cool. Calling the group. Awesome. But the Ryonet lamp. I could also use my CFL light with the reflector in place. Farid, you need really strong. This is down in the 300 and 350 nanometer. Here we go. Hello. Good morning. Hey, that's
Hello.
awesome. Hey, your basement looks like mine, Tim.
Yours
Cool.
is cleaner.
Cool. Up to 100 people we can have in here. That is great job, Pat. We'll call back in, Patrick. We'll get everybody in here. So let me go back to Farad's question about light source. It's really important as that's printing over there. We started with 7 minutes. We'll take a look at it here in just a second. It's really important the light source that you use is very, very strong UVA and B. And that's in the 300 to 300 nanometer area. So CFLs just won't do it. They don't have enough. So at the end of the day, the group name is Studio Q Show. Pat, yeah, let me see if I can do that. Can I add Tim over there? I think I can put Tim up there. Start it. Oh, Patrick. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Join call. I'm going to join in. Patrick started that. I'll join in there.
End of the day, the group name is Studio Q Show.
We're all lagged out. We got our audio all lagged out. Tim's on hold. Let's put him back. Can we add him back over? I'm not really sure how to do this.
Did he call you directly, or did he contact the group Studio Q?
Yeah, he called me directly, and that's what I'm going to tell him. Yeah.
If you groups, say search groups, and you'll see Studio Q.
Gotcha. I'll do that. I'll tell him that right now. Hold on here. Hey, Tim, go into. Let's see if I can go back to that. Can I go back to that? Yeah, we're resuming. Tim, hey buddy, go into Skype and search the groups and find Studio Q Show and call that one up and call us back in. We can have everybody in here at the same time.
Okay,
Yeah, cool. There we go. Okay, now I can go back to Patrick. I think I can. Can I go back to Patrick now? This is kind of funny. I think I can. 2 or 3. Okay. Yeah, we're in there. Share this link for others to join. Cool. Okay. There's the link here if people want to join in the group chat. That's what it says anyway. Pat, did I lose you? Where are you? Call ended. Okay. We're working on it. Anyway. So as we get that sorted out, let's go back into this printing out process. So as we take these negatives, oh good, here we go. As we take these negatives and say, we want to have an image that has, yeah, there everybody's coming in. Cool.
Okay.
Very cool.
We're working on it. Anyway.
I like it.
So if we get that sorted out, let's go back and go.
Can everybody still hear me though? That's cool. I like that. We'll work it out. We'll get it going here. And there's Farid. Yes. Can you guys hear me? Somebody in the chat give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me? Do I still have audio? Okay, good. Oh, good. Awesome. Well, then that way we won't get feedback because I don't want to have to wear earphones because that's the only way I could do it. So very cool on this Skype chat thing. That's awesome. So there's a Studio Q. There's 3 people in there now. That is awesome. I love that. I love it. Very cool. Okay. So back to the printing out paper. We're still printing. I see the light's still on. We went for 7 minutes, I believe. Why did I do that? I know that negative. The max density on that negative, by the way, the D max on it is 1.85. So that's in the beak, or that's in the, not the beak, that's in the bone of the skull. And it is fairly dense there. And you're going to see it here in just a second. I'll pull it out of the printer. We'll come back and I'll show it to you here. Here's the thing with Collodio-Chloride. It's very different than printing out with, say, albumin or salt. You have to print very deep with those two pot papers. And what I mean by printing very deep is that you go for a really bronze edge, greenish, glowish, iridescent, like I said last week kind of thing. Here you don't have to so much. Collodio-Chloride has this ability where you don't lighten up so much in the fix, and you're going to see them in there. It's kind of, I always say this is kind of like describing how to tie your shoelaces over the phone if you don't know how to tie shoelaces. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense just to talk about it. So we've got our print. Let's go grab our print. It is ready. So the Ryonet has gone off. That is 7 minutes. So let's take a look at this print. I'm going to set you down on the printer here. Maybe this way so you can see. Set you down on the printer here. Oh, that's getting close, huh? Let's take a look though. So that was 7 minutes. That was 7 minutes. See that nice clean edge? I told you about that nice clean white edge. We're going to go another 2 minutes. We want another 2 minutes on that. Why do we want another 2 minutes? Because it's not quite dense enough for me. And you'll see it lighten up in the fix. So I'm going to come down here, and on this I'm just going to drop this down to 2 minutes. There we go. 2 more minutes and we got it. So that's the first one coming out. That'll give us a good baseline for the others. That one's going to be very similar. We're right around 9 or 10 minutes, I think. Right? I think that's where we're going to be. Here's the question: are you guys talking to me and I'm not hearing you? Anybody there? There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I can mute my stuff, or if I don't have to mute my stuff, I can talk to you guys. So good.
When you were judging the exposure there,
yes.
Were you looking more at the highlights being still too light?
No, the shadow, the
shadows.
shadow areas, being that the highlights are going to be white paper, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the shadow areas and the absolute where the D-min is, basically the lack. There's a real subtle range between going from pure silver on the plate that will not let any, it still lets some light in regardless, to absolute clear glass. And that range in between where that happens, and when you have a good negative, you should have that, remember the old zone system? You should have all those spectrums in there, right? All those numbers in there, 0 to 10 basically. What we're looking for is that right above the clear glass. We're looking at 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 D-min, and looking for that to get quite dense. Now, I don't print these over. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to go in the dark room here in a minute and finish this and look at it. I don't print these so dark like the bronzing over to this green metallic iridescent color. I leave these Collodio-Chlorides a little bit. They're dark, but they're not as dark as what you'd overprint or print deeply on an albumin or salt paper. You'll see this. That's what's wonderful about doing this. You'll actually see what I mean rather than me trying to describe it. So it's one of those things where we have it's all personal preference, right? At the end of the day, some people like prints this way, some people like that way. But I'm trying to judge. This is what happens. You have this initial stage coming out of the printer or coming out of the sun, printed down quite deeply, not terrifically deeply. Then you have the wash of the free silver, taking the free silver off the print, and you'll see that here in just a minute. That'll change its color or density. And then you're going to have the fix. You're going to change the density or the color. And I'm going to do this one fix and then tone. So you'll have the fix, it'll change the density. We'll wash it for a bit, and then we'll tone it, and that's going to change it. Then we're going to wash it, and then we're going to dry it, and that's going to be the final image, and that's going to change as well too. So there's a little system that you have to follow through here. We're finished over here. And let me just go grab it. I'll just go grab the contact printer. I'm really confident that we have it here. I feel pretty good about this. Let's take a look, see. Yeah. See how that is? So, having said that, let's go into the dark room. Very gently take it off my... Oh, yeah. That looks nice. There it is. I don't want to leave it exposed too long out here. I mean, I've got some UV streaming in here. So here's the next step. You've printed it out. You've got a nice density to it. And I can turn on the white light here. Let me just throw these down here real quick. Boom, boom, boom. I got a paper safe box over here. I'll put these in real quick. No need to expose them if you don't have to. There, and I think these are dry as well. Put those in there. Are they dry? Yeah, pretty good. All right, I got all my paper hidden now. I got some paper safes over here. So I can turn the white light on so you guys can see this. I'll turn the reds off. So here we go. Can you see my darkroom setup here? Yeah. So here's our print. I'm going to put some water in here. I don't want it terribly cold. I'm going to fill this. I like to use glass, and my sinks are dark. You'll be able to see this. I'll pull you over. You can see this. So as I float this in here, you'll start seeing that silver, that free silver lift off of there. You see that? It's almost, you can really see it there. That's all the free silver coming off of that. Actually, it's mixing in. I've got a lot of chloramine in the water here. So you want to wash this free silver off until you do not see any more of that at all. In fact, you can take a look at this. It's like putting silver in with your dirty tap water there. Nice, looking good, looking good. I think that'll look really nice. Fill it up again. Let it kind of wash about here just for a minute. You just want to make sure that that free silver is gone from that. What it's looking like, I don't know how well you guys can see that, but it looks nice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix it in the same tray here. Once I'm sure all that is gone, you do not want to mix that together. You don't want to have that print, that paper covered with free silver, and then throw your fix in there and have that bind to it. You just muddy up that stuff. Same with toner too. It'll eat up all your gold too. It's just nasty. So do a couple of these washes. This is a small print, so it won't be too terribly bad to get it cleaned sufficiently. So maybe one more of those. I feel pretty good about it.
What temp is the water?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. That's a great question. This is about 68 degrees or 20 degrees Celsius. I don't like it too cold, and I don't like it super warm either. 68, maybe 70 degrees, somewhere in there. I think we got our free silver gone here. I feel pretty good about that. Let that wash just for a bit. Now the paper is curling a little bit here because this is fiber on the back, and that's plastic on the front, right? Collodion nitrocellulose. So you have a little bit of curling, but not nearly as bad as some of the other papers. I'm going to set you guys right here and bring this over a little more here. I'm going to put the fix in it so you guys can see it this way, I think. So here we have print fix. This is actually mixed 10%. I'm not doing 15%. I'm doing 100 grams per liter. So I'm going to put just enough to do this print because I just washed that down anyway. So I'm going to set my timer for 3.5 minutes, which will be plenty for this. And then watch the color shift here. You're going to see this lighten up. See that already? And that's what I mean. You're going to have these shifts that you go, people start freaking out. Oh my God, what happened? What happened? So if you print too dark or print too light, you have to find that sweet spot of what you want. What do you want the print to look like? This is what I love about negatives and printing, is you're not just stuck with a positive, that's what you're going to live with. You've got a lot of choices here. What kind of toning, if any toning at all, what kind of paper, how dense do you print it, all that stuff. So a lot of ability. I don't know if that's going to show very well, but you see that shift in color there? That's
pretty dramatic.
Very dramatic. That's a second shift. And people freak out about this, and it's really hard to talk them through if they're not here. So this is what I try to get people to work with and see and understand. Again, fixing 3 to 5 minutes is plenty on these. Again, you're working with collodion, so it's not leaching into the paper like a salt or albumin paper. You've got a lot of liberty there. So we're going to go ahead and do the full 3.5 minutes here just to be sure, and then we're going to tone it. We're going to wash it for a bit, and then we're going to tone it. I can't see the chat, but if I'll take a look at it. I'm going to flip this over, and I'll take a look at the chat. This is just sodium thiosulfate fix, by the way. Let me take a look at the chat while we do that. Why have you chosen to tone out? Yeah. Yes, great question, Paul. Why have I chosen to fix after toning, tone after the fix? Disposing of chemistry. Yeah. Okay, let's take, sorry, I don't want that backlit on me. Let's take Paul's question first. Why have I chosen to fix and then tone? You can do either way. My book says both of them, right? You can do either way. Hey, welcome. If you mute yourself until you talk, we won't get any feedback too. So I've chosen to fix before I tone for the simple fact that I'll take all of that, I'll fix that image down, and I won't take as much gold out of the toner as I normally would. Now, people like to tone before they fix because you don't get the density loss like you just saw there. You won't get that real dramatic shift in the print. So I wanted to show you, and we can do it both ways though. I can show you both ways, no problem. So yeah, let's do that. I think you can see that again, I hope. So we're almost fixed. Yep, we have 15 seconds left. So what I do is I just take this back over to the wash here. And disposing of chemistry is a big question. I'm going to do a whole show on that next week. But disposing of chemistry, sodium thiosulfate is a salt, just like washing table salt down your drain. It's not a problem at all. Nothing here is going to be a problem for the drain. Washing the print, fixing it, and the gold tone will go back into a used jar. So that's what it's looking like right now. But watch when I tone it, right? The toner is when I say in my book, you tone, which is optional, but it really isn't optional kind of thing. So I always say that. It's not really optional. You usually, 99% of the time, you'll want to tone. So we're going to wash for about another couple, 3 minutes here, we'll do a final wash after we tone. Go out and answer some questions. Yeah, I like it. Looking good. And I know we've got the density there. So yeah, most people like to tone before they fix because you don't have that density loss. You don't have that shift. But I'm going to pull it right back in with toner, so there's no worries for me that way. So as that washes here, another good thing about the plastic quote paper or the Collodion nitrocellulose paper is it just isn't that demanding like a salt or an albumin print would be here. Nothing shifting there at all. That's about all we're going to get as far as the shift goes until we go to the toner. And what I like to do is I have a glass, I'll show it to you. I have a glass sheet over there with a squeegee. I'll go over and squeegee the print off before we tone it. And I use this little glass tray for toner. I showed you the Tetnol that I got in last week, and I pour the used in that. So I use it here and then save it over here. And I don't like to pour it back in the bottle, the used stuff, because it does replace, right? It does take the place of some silver in exchange that way as it's toning the material. We're almost there. So you can see the time involved in making just one print. It's quite intense. People don't understand that it's not just pressing a button on a computer and having a printer spit a print out. Okay. Call that good. I'll walk you over here. There's another little station I have here. I just have remember we spun the emulsion up here. So what I like to do, I have this clean. I just like to turn the print over, squeegee it off, squeegee the front off. I don't like any of that hard water going into the gold tone. So let's go back over and gold tone this baby. So here's my little tray. Set the print down there. I'm not going to use too much. Somewhere right in there. And I'm going to set my timer for 2.5 minutes. Oh, I'll do 3 minutes. I don't know that I'll go that long, but watch the shift here. So we want to keep it moving, and oh wow, the density is already starting to come back. You'll see this here. I won't have to kind of keep my fingers off of that. I go back and forth, over, back and forth, over. Yeah, beautiful. Oh my God. I never get tired of this stuff, guys. I just never get tired of. It's just so beautiful. You see the shift? Can you see it yet? Boy, I sure can.
Yes.
But I'm here. I know you guys are remote. It's kind of hard to. I'm going to go to the traditional. You can go as long as you want, but as you see, get it as close to
Quinn,
yes.
Do you get much dry down with this process? Or
Yes.
Is it pretty much what
Yes, and you're going to see that as well too, Pat. You're going to see there's another. This is the second or third color shift actually, and there's one more when you dry down and you build that density back. You pull all that density back in again. Yes, you'll see it here. Definitely. We'll make sure we dry these down. And that just depends on what you like and how you like to see the prints or how you like to see, I'm going to go for a couple of minutes with this. I'll use this gold toner a couple of times here. Just depends on what you like or what you don't like. I like this. This is that 9 minutes for that negative was absolutely perfect. Can you see that? I hope you can. We'll take it out in a good light when it's finished. You'll be able to. You will enjoy that one for sure. I love it. Absolutely love it. I'm happy with it. I'd have this hanging on my wall, no problem. Let me talk about what this is. If you have my book, you can read about it. This is a rabbit skull sitting on an oak gall. I found them both on a massacre site in the eastern plains in Colorado here. The Cheyenne, the rabbit is a trickster in Native American culture here. And they have what they call a rabbit cry. When it's scared of something, it actually tries to attract what it's scared of to itself. And the oak gall that it's sitting on, the big oak trees out here, it's another sacred kind of tree that the Native Americans use for tents and peace pipes, all kinds of pipes and all kinds of stuff. They had, there we go. I'm going to call that, sorry. As I'm rudely interrupted, I'm just going to let that drain for just a second there. Give this a wash here. Give it a wash just real briefly, and I'll squeegee it and show it to you. Hopefully you can see this. I don't know. I always wonder about how effective it is to show digital stuff. Oh my God, yeah. I love it. But then again, I'm kind of partial to it, right? It's my image, it's my stuff, so. Maybe if I get you out here in the light, you can see it a little better here. No, not really. Let's take it out here. Take it out in the natural light. And it'll dry down with even more density here. You get the idea though, right? I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm going to go through.
Good to me.
What's that?
It looks good to me.
Yes, thank you. It looks good. It looks good to me too. And I'm sitting here live. I wish you could actually see it live, but some of the density, it's got more density than showing on the screen, I think. But once it dries down, you'll have. Now we can do a different type of color too, as well. We can, it just depends. Oh, I'm dripping on my. I better not drip on my negative. It just depends on what color you want to go to. I only toned that for 2.5 minutes. So depending on what you wanted to do, right? Good negative, good exposure. You saw the shifts through. The next one I do, we can tone it before we fix it. How about that? You guys up for that? Let me go throw this in there and we'll come back and do that. I think we should do Peter's trees next. Let's do Peter's trees next here. I'll put this back in my rack, and if you guys don't handle your negatives properly, there's a rack, and there over there, I don't know if you can see it behind there. There's 52 negatives on racks over there as well too. So what you're printing and what you're handling, and then your storage, and then I have boxes behind there with negatives in them too. I think I dripped a little bit of water on my contact printer. So that was the cover of there. Let's go. Is Peter still in here? I think Peter's there somewhere. Gold toner made it. Yes. Pure VD. Yes, absolutely. I think Peter's in here. Yes, Mr. O'Donnell is there somewhere. I'm going to print his image now. This is the one he asked for. This is a wonderful kind of a Tim Burton scene at the Sand Creek Massacre site. I'm actually going to go I'm going to go get the paper and bring it out, and we'll load it into the frame here. Let me put this right. I'm going to lay this on the computer here. We're going to get this ready, get our paper ready. I'll go grab the paper. I'll be right back. So again, we want to make sure that we have the areas that we want to see, which are really crucial here. Nice and square. I didn't trim this one up. I'll leave those kind of hanging there. Want to get it nice and square though, so it's sitting like that. Take our nice clean piece of glass, flatten that out. That looks good there. I'll trim those up after. I'm going to slide the whole thing over though, just a tiny bit. Get it squared up there. So that way I can break away. This is going to be very similar. This will be in the 9-minute range. In fact, I'm just going to set it for 9 minutes. We don't have to do the double look. I feel good about that. Clamp it down. There's our image. Let's go over to the Ryonet. There's our image that way. So you can see all of the light areas obviously are going to let light through and are going to go dark. All the dark areas are going to be white, right? Preventing the light. So when we're working with negatives, we're working with transmitted light versus positives or reflected light. It's a huge difference to remember when you're working in wet collodion of how these processes, these variants work, because at the end of the day, I have it set on 2 minutes. At the end of the day, I'm going to go all the way up to 9. In fact, we might even be 10 with this one. I don't know. This is a pretty stout negative. There it is. Down onto the Ryonet. Cover it up, and let's go over. Let's chat for a minute now. That's what I thought, because I didn't know what would do with these time that we have was between prints. So if you guys have some questions, shoot them at me. Let's answer some questions. I'll plug back in and charge back up. Oh, is my mic not working properly? Is that what you're saying? Is my mic, can you guys hear me or not?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, Peter's mic. Okay, that's okay, Peter. That's fine. You can type the questions. This is actually Peter's image, which is absolutely fun. Has anyone ever done this? Have you ever printed an image for someone live on a YouTube feed? That I think it's really cool. Yeah, great question. Do you ever have to worry about peeling? That is a terrific question. When you're doing carbon tissues, if you understand the carbon process, frilling is one of the big problems with carbon transfers. The reason you use that lithotape around the corner of the negatives is to prevent that, so you have a really good clean line and a clean separation. It's like using an X-Acto knife rather than trying to tear tape up. You use an X-Acto knife, it rips off beautifully. There's a little bit of that same principle here with, and I've never seen anybody use lithotape on negatives to do wet collodion P.O.P prints. I mean, you have to in carbon, and I usually do carbon anyway, or I can, so the lithotape's just kind of a standard practice for me. But peeling, I do not have a problem with. Sometimes, you saw me trim those edges off in the darkroom on the other one. Sometimes those folded edges will crack, and there'll be collodion that breaks off of that. Usually, the glycerin, remember last week when we made the emulsion, the glycerin in the collodio-chloride emulsion acts as a plasticizer. So if you have enough glycerin in there, you should be able to remain flexible. You can't take the print and bend it. It will crack and break, especially after it's dried. But no, peeling is usually not a problem. Is there a theory about exposure times regarding at contrast, like yes, there is. Really, though, it comes from exposure and the contrast of the negative. This negative is far less contrast, has far less contrast than Peter's print that we're making right now. That's very contrasty. So you're going to see a difference. That's why it may go from, it may be 9 minutes, it may be 10 or 11 minutes. So exposure time is going to vary, and you actually have to look at it. We'll look at this at 9 minutes, and I'll make a decision whether we want to go in there and wash the free silver from it and then tone it and then fix it, or whether we want to go another minute or two. This one doesn't have as much density. Let me show you the difference here. I have two of these. There's a redeveloped and there's a not redeveloped. Same image. I wish I could get my arm out of the way. Look at the difference in density. It's crazy. This is redeveloped. This is not redeveloped. So the printing times would be different for these. And I don't know that I'm going to have time today, but we'll definitely look at that at some point if we want. So yes, contrast comes from the negative, the original exposure of the negative, and then printing out. Printing, UV, does wavelength of 385 to 400. It does work sufficiently. I'm below that over here. I'm in the 300, 325. I'm way down into the UV over here. That's why I'm getting away with 8, 9, 10 minute 6 to 10 minute exposures, exposure time on these. In the sun here, I'm at almost 3,000 meters above sea level. I can print these out in a couple of minutes. That's how much UV I have out here. So yes, UV is what it operates off of. So you can't use your CFL bulbs. You can't use your, you need to use the sun, or you need to use a screen printing apparatus with a lot of UV. It's way down in there, and you're right in the right area though. You're definitely in the right spectrum at 300 to 400 nanometers, definitely. Hey, we got a little show in there, don't we? I wonder. Let me try something here just for fun. I wonder if I can Skype, if I can add window capture. I'm using OBS software, so let's see if I can add Skype. I think I can. Look at this. How cool is that? And if I say control, I'm learning this, guys, so it'll get better as we go. Fit to screen. There we go. There's our great group right there online. Everybody's up there, and I think Pat's at the head. Hey, is that Linda? There's Linda. Hi, Linda. And who do we have?
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Welcome. I'm glad to see everybody. That's so great. Fareed, Tim's right here in Colorado. Look at that sun blazing in on him. And who do we? Hey, who do we have down in the left there? Live Look 307. Who's our fellow down there? That's Peter. That's Peter down there without the mic. Hey, good to see you, brother man. Awesome. We're still printing. I can look over there and see the UV glowing from my box. So we're still printing. That's fun. I love this. This is pretty cool. I like this. Yeah, so here's the thing. I think we should do a piece of Canson paper while we're just sitting around waiting, and I will do that. I want to show you the difference in this. Even though we have that Peely stuff on it, not Peely, the non-curl. So the emulsion side is up on that. I'm going to lay that down and close this back up. And let's do this again. You guys can see me here. I'll move that box back a little bit. I got a full sheet here. This is what I see a lot of folks do. We'll go ahead. Actually, I don't need a full sheet. How big is this? This is 11. Let's do 7. Let's do 7 and 7. I like 7 and 7. I like to give myself an inch around. 7 and 7. I could just take it over the guillotine, then I'd have to walk away again. But hey, this wonderful Saturday, we don't want to leave you guys hanging here. There we go, 7 and 7. And I can take this too. I could take my X-Acto and ship it off here. So now we do the same principle here, right? We're just going to curl. I have a little more latitude here. This is the Canson Baryta Fine Art paper, by the way. We're going to pour one of these while we're waiting for our print. We're going to pour one of these. I want to show you the difference. You guys might like the color better on these. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's see what you guys like. That's the whole idea of this. It's so much fun doing these. I just encourage people to try this because once you have a good negative, I mean, God, you can have so much fun with this. They're so varied. Like I was saying in there, positives are great. Don't get me wrong, I love them. But you're so limited. You know, what tone, what paper. Once you have the negative, the world's your oyster. You can do whatever you want with them. There we go. And again, I just kind of open up one of those. Let's take you in the darkroom again. Take you over here and pour that baby. Pour that Collodion. This is, again, I can keep track of it because of its size. And we can pour in the nice white light. It's no problem. I got my paper head here. Again, here's my little glass support with a little blue tape there. I'll just hang it off the edge here. Peel those up just a tiny bit. Kind of like that. Open our Collodio-Chloride emulsion up again. And pour to your heart's content. Nice big puddle in the center. Nice white stuff there all the way over. I kind of do it A, B, C, D like I pour plates. You get used to it, a system, and it works for you. Why change it, right? It works well. I just kind of let it drip. I don't let these drip as long. It depends on how big the paper is, but kind of like that, somewhere in there. Kind of get those striation lines out if you want. I'll close them up. Pop it off the support like that. I'll straighten the paper out a little bit. Looks great. So this will be a Canson, and I'll know it because it's a little bit bigger paper. Hang it up. Hang it up just like that, and let it dry. I'll go out. Let's turn our red back on while that's drying. Turn our white off, and let's go back out and grab our print. See what Peter's trees look like here. I do love that. It's a little scary, that image. A little frightening looking, as Tim Burton-ish or esque. Yeah, our printer is off. Walk over here and take a look-see. Ooh, yeah, let's look at it over here. I think we might be on the money with that one. That paper looks great around the edges. It's more purple than I normally see. Oh, yeah. You guys see that? I'm gonna take a peek. We might. I might go. Let me look at the other side. I might go one more minute on it. I feel like it can take it. Yeah, I'm going to go one more minute on it. Let me start back over for one more minute. But to look at it here, you'd think, oh boy, that's finished. But it is quite dense. So let me go one more minute on it. I'll be right back. Looking good. Just for fun. One more minute. Boom. There we go. Should just have web cameras set up everywhere in here, right? Let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Here. Sorry. How about that? Sorry. I put you guys up there. Yes, I think it's looking good, Peter. I'm excited. And maybe we'll do that. Get that extra minute in there and get that density really popping. That negative, I've printed it. It can take a lot. The idea is You don't really get skies, so you want those quite white in Collodion, but you still want some detail. It is kind of backlit just a little bit, and the way that creek, that it's literally Sand Creek, it's a gulch, that's why they call it that, and the trees were growing up. But some of the Native Americans, if you read in here, because that's printing out there, if you read here, check this out. This is the text that goes with Peter's image that I'm printing. Before Shivington, he's a colonel in the U.S. American Army. Before Shivington and his men left the area, they plundered the teepees and took the horses. After the smoke cleared, Shivington's men came back and killed many of the wounded. They also scalped many of the dead, regardless of whether they were women, children, or infants. Shivington and his men dressed their weapons, hats, and gears with scalps and other body parts, including human fetuses and male and female genitalia. They also publicly displayed these, quote, battle trophies in Denver's Apollo Theater. It's on Larimer Street, not far from me here, area saloons. In addition to that, there was a parade of the remains a mile long on Larimer Street. 3 Indians who remained in the village are known to have survived the massacre: George Bent's brother, Charlie Brent, and 2 Cheyenne women who were later turned over to William Bent. So this is the area. These trees are right in the area where a lot of this stuff happened up the gulch there. And Native Americans and little babies, little small children were running for their lives, and the American soldiers were just shooting them like beer bottles, just objects. It's very sad. I'm going to grab the print. Yeah, we have it. I feel good about this. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Let's go in and finish her off here. Yeah. That eggplant color is absolutely gorgeous. Let me see if our cansone is dried yet. I'm going to throw it in the water here. I'll get some fresh water in there. Beautiful. Almost dry. I want to move my gold tone over here. So let me shut this red light off because it's really giving off of that. Wow, I really like that print. Really like it a lot. This will be beautiful. Beautiful. Let me just let it rest here and see if we get any of this silver floating up here. We'll tone this first. Somebody mentioned, why did you, I think it was Paul asked about why'd you fix and then tone? Well, we'll tone first. I'll show you. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. There's something absolutely frightening about that area. It was difficult to be in those places. It was just like, it was absolutely awful. Coming up for another breath here. I'm going to go ahead and wash it out again. And this crackling on the edge, I could clean that off if that's bothering me a little bit. I get a little OCD, but I'll trim it up anyway. Again, that's why I like the litho around the edges like that. So you'll end up matting it or doing something with it anyway, so you never see the work area. But I kind of like the proof of process too. I kind of like to see how the print was made. That's beautiful. Yeah. I don't know. I just, I was there, so I have kind of a bias here. Oh, that depth of field. Until you see the tops of the trees, everything's swirling out of focus, because of that Petzval lens. I used an English Dallmeyer 3B with a F5.6 stop in this, and it's really worked well for it. One more wash here. And then we'll fix, well, I said fix, then we'll tone it and then fix it. I am going to trim this off just to get rid of that. I'll just take it over to the guillotine here in just a second. I think we got that pretty much. I'll get that ready for fix. Let me trim it up, and I'll come back and we shall tone it, and then we'll fix it. Let me just trim this edge off. Edges, I guess. As it were. Much better. There we go. Let me squeegee that off. I just cleaned the image up around. I just took it to the guillotine over there. So here's our gold tone. Let's tone this out. I'm going to put this on 3 minutes by the time I get finished here. So we're going to tone this first. So again, a big color shift, right? We almost went away there. But when we come back, it's kind of, it's the opposite, right? We're going the opposite way. Rather than fixing and then toning and bringing it back, we're doing it the other way. And it's just your preference, however you want to do it. I think I might do this one on a Canson paper for Peter as well, too, because this image will make a beautiful color on a Canson paper as well. So we're pulling some density back in there. You want to keep this gold tone moving, and you definitely want to wear gloves doing this. The gold tone is definitely not something you want to have absorb into your skin. Major color shift though, major color shift all the time. You see we're building density back in though. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not really sure what you can see, but believe me when I tell you, our trees are coming back, and we're coming around. We're coming around. And I figured it would be 3 minutes on this, or 2.5 anyway. It's looking good. I'll pick it up so you guys can kind of see it there. Keep it moving, keep it moving. Take it all the way down. So as you can see, you can do it either way. Whatever you want to do. You want to tone first or fix first. It doesn't really matter. People have their different reasons for why they do one over the other. I have a little mark on this one. I might have... I'll see. We're at 30 seconds left here. Sky's coming back in, building all that back out. I have a little piece of something in my gold tone there too. There it was. I'll set my gold tone over here. I'll rinse this off real quick. That's where we are there. Let me just rinse this toner off of it here. That's still a little frightening there, isn't it? I think I want to do this one on the cancel. We'll see. Now we're going to fix it. Take this, we'll fix it out. I want to make sure all that gold comes off of there. Wow. Yeah, that's really popping there. So I'm just pouring a little bit in there. You don't need much. I'll set my timer here in just a second. And here you won't have much of a shift because you've already shifted it in the toner. Put my timer on. There we go. I've never really done this online with an audience that way, so new stuff for me. But it all usually, if you have everything right, it usually works out fine.
So we make some noise.
Yes, who's that? Hey, is that Peter?
No, that's Fareed.
Oh, Fareed. Oh, okay. You making noise, Fareed?
Yeah, because you're online and you're kind of nervous, no?
Me?
I don't know.
No, I'm not nervous.
Okay, that's cool.
No, I'm not nervous. I'm just concerned that you guys aren't seeing what I'm seeing, so it's kind of hard to distinguish.
Oh, we get it.
Shows, it looks good.
Yeah, I think it's getting there. But you definitely want to fix and you definitely want to wash. Our first print is over here in the wash. Let me grab that out. So there's our first print out of the wash. And here's our second print in the fix. You see the color difference in them just there. I went longer here and shorter here. I went for a blue here and a brown here. So you have the negative, so you can print as much as you want. You can try, and I'm telling you, a minute here, or a minute more here, or a minute less there makes all the difference in the world when it comes to toner and exposure. So you just make what you want to have happen that way. It's really important though that you do fix them properly, 3 to 5 minutes. I really say 3 minutes is fine, especially if you're using fresh. I only use fresh fix. I don't reuse fix. Just not worth it, especially if you're doing prints that you want to have stick around. So use your judgment. We have 30 seconds left here. Use your judgment and yeah, Tim Burton-esque. Beautiful, beautiful stuff, guys. I can't stress enough how wonderful it is to be able to produce this stuff. I just fill the water up as it's still fixing and use a little bit of that diluted water in there to grab anything else. There's tricks you can use, but you don't need to do that with collodion chloride. Another great reason to use Collodio-Chloride for your printing out process. Because you can get about what you want. You can find the right, if you don't like the glossy paper, you can get matte paper. There's all kinds of ways you can handle that. And I'm going to let that wash. Perfect. I'm going to let that wash. And we're going to go on to our next print. And let that wash just like that. Okay, so let's go to our next print. I'm going to show you a little bit of radical change here. I know some people are probably saying, what about that color? I'll show it to you here. Just 1 second. Let me kill this light. Let me turn our red back on. And let me get this out. What I'm going to do here, that's dry. I'm going to trim these edges off. This is the one we just poured. I want to show you, in case we're running, our patience is running low here. I want to show you the difference in paper. You might like this paper better. I don't know. Let's find out. This is the whole objective of this, is to give you some options and to show you some things you can do with this wonderful printing out process called Collodio-Chloride. There we go. Somebody asked me, I think it may have been Paul, can you run a hairdryer and speed up the drying on your Collodio-Chloride? Guess what I have here? I'm just going to make sure. We just poured this, and it's very cool. It's 15 degrees in here. So I just want to make sure, and my hands are cold. I just want to make sure that this is good and dry. Yeah, I love it. So this is the Canson Collodio-Chloride paper. Let's go mound up a print and do a print on this. I got to be careful not to stain these prints with my gloves too. That's another thing. We'll get the next one here. Rock that one. Let's do this one. Foxjaw. Woohoo! Yeah, that fits on there just beautifully. I'll show it to you here. And we want to look at it. I think we're going to be 9 minutes on. I don't know though. This is a different paper, so we'll see. We'll find out. Pop my glass out. Let's go take a look at this. I think I'll run. Let me run this for 8 minutes and see where we go. Let me run this for 8 minutes and see where we're at. Actually, I'll do 9. I'll go 9 minutes. I'm pretty bold with that. I'll do 9 minutes. There we go. 9 minutes. Off and going. All right, let's go back to some questions here. And by the way, that's called that's a beer can that was shot up that I found on a site, and a fox jaw. That's a fox jaw that I found. A little tiny. Let me grab it. I'll show it to you. This is a fox jaw I found on a massacre site, and I also have the rabbit skull over there too. But you can see about how big it is. It's interesting. I find this stuff fascinating. Hey, there's Farid's got a yak skull or something up there. Yeah, there you go. Something. This was on the eastern plains of Colorado. It's interesting. If you look, the dog soldiers, the dog men, the Cheyenne Native Americans, they're Cheyenne, right? They all had a very interesting relationship with. They were considered the fierce warriors out here. I actually live on the eastern plains in Colorado here, but they had a fierce reputation of warriors, and they all the animals had unique relationships with them. Look, there's a tooth right there, still in it, a little tooth there. It's interesting. You can see that it's see the roots and the canine, everything in it. It's interesting. I don't know. I find that stuff fascinating. So anyway, we can go back to the technical if you'd like, and see what else we got. Oh. Somebody asked me the other day, how far can you extend the bellows on that 10 by 10 Chamonix, and how close can you get? So that image we just printed, that one, there's the rabbit skull. Gives you an idea. I mean, you saw the negative. Gives you an idea of how tiny that is. That's the rabbit skull, sitting on an oak gall. The oak gall has a very interesting concept too. The mighty oak trees out here on the plains, the wasp, they call them gall wasps, the insects that sting you. The wasps will fly in, get under the bark, and lay eggs, and they're very harmful to the tree. And the tree will send out a chemical messenger. Trees can't move, they can't swat things off of themselves, so they have other mechanisms to get rid of predators. And they'll send a chemical message out, and they'll start building a shell around those eggs. And the tree will encompass a shell around that invader, and that shell will create a ball, or an oak gall. A gall is what they call it here. And it'll drop off with the eggs contained in. Let me show you the oak gall. I got several of them. So these are very old that I found out here. That's an oak gall. And that's how I photographed the rabbit skull on the oak gall. Something like that. Those are oak galls. They look like they're hard. They surround the invader and drop off the tree. And it's all a metaphor about the American military coming to this land and invading. Same with the thistles that I photographed off the properties and things. So it's all metaphor. It's all metaphor built in with metaphor. We're still printing out. We're almost there though. I never did get to show you guys last week that we printed out. That's just fixed and not toned. Those are the oak galls that are on the beer bottle. That's on the Canson paper. You guys might like the Canson paper. Oh yeah, the gall's huge. Yeah, they can be ginormous for sure. Yeah, you should see the trees. You should see the trees they come off of. That's why the Native Americans just adored them. I mean, the cottonwood and the oak. The cottonwood is in this image here that we're printing out. The cottonwood, piece of cottonwood tree that I got out here. They use those for tents and pipes and all kinds of stuff. It's all sacred, to the Native people. Galls, and that gall that I just showed you isn't the biggest one I have over there. There's some that are golf ball size, and then some that are almost softball size. And it's just depending on how big the tree was and how big the invader was perceived. So I just used them as metaphor, though. So it's an interesting concept, nonetheless. So I have, there we go. What toner will come close to the neutral black? Pierre, that's what we're doing right now. The gold toner will come. You saw how neutral those last two prints I made were. That's what the gold tone will come closest. And if you use the borax, I'm actually going to use gold tone on this next one. But since the paper's different and it has different values to it, you'll see different color. Definitely, you'll see this antique color. This isn't toned though. This is just fixed. This is the Canson paper that we did last week. So depending, everybody's different. Some want to look like that neutral, like you're asking, that black, that silver gelatin kind of look. That's kind of what we've been doing here. And that's gold tone. You can take it further too. And then some want that kind of coffee with cream, that kind of warm tone. How to set and run the time for gold tone. Is there a theory? Can you stick to underexposed longer development for contrast? Yes, the gold tone will go from, it'll go from neutral. It'll take, we're only doing 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes on the gold tone here. I went 3 minutes on that, on Peter's tree print there. But if you can go 5, 7, 10 minutes, it'll go through the whole variety. You'll go down to almost a purple black and get very, very contrasty. Printing is done. Let me go grab it here. So now here we have the Canson. We're back to the Canson paper. Yeah, that was perfect, actually. Let's go on in. 19%. I'm going to go in and I'm going to throw it in the wash. I have to leave you guys on the charge. That's it there, but we'll go in afterward. That's a cottonwood tree I'm talking about. That's a foxjaw I just told you about. I'll be right back. Hold on. Oh, awesome, Robbo. You're very welcome. I think it's cool too. We're working it out, but Pat got us all hooked up with that Skype. That's pretty cool. Let me throw this in the wash and I'll be right out. Now let's take you in there. I have 19% on my battery. Pretty intense running the battery this hard. But I get massive silver off of this one here. Here we go again. Remember this portion, right? Take it in, let the bath run its thing here. That's what it's looking like so far. We can tone this one first if we want again. We'll go that route. I am going to trim those ends off though. I don't need all that on there. This is almost washed though. It's close. It's close to being washed. Just make sure you do this thoroughly before you fix or tone. Just make sure you don't have any of that silver coming off of there. And it's usually good to have a clear pan and then something dark so you can see the, yeah, I still see some lifting off of there. Just a little bit, not much. Okay. That might do it. I'm going to go squeegee this off real quick. cut it. There, I just squeegeed it and cleaned it off there. Just cut the top and bottom off of it. Let's go ahead and tone. Let's see if you see any difference in this toning here. I'm going to set it for 2.5 minutes. See if you see any difference here. You can definitely see the shift there for sure. Shifting, but we want to see the color shift, not just the density. I'm trying to get to where I can cover the back and forth, cross the sides, all that good stuff. 2.5, 3 minutes. I'll get this one nice here. We'll get this one drilled in. Yeah, there's no mass producing these prints for sure. You can't really, the best you can do is maybe 2 at a time if you're really set up nice. And I don't know that you'd want to even do that though. I like to do them 1 at a time. You'll see how radically different they are though, color-wise and everything else. Kind of a mid look at it, about 1.5 minutes. What I'm going for here is, no, you'll see. We'll see if we can get it here. I like this small pen because it fits the print, but yet I can still I can work the toner over it really easily. There we go. We're getting the shift now. Real nice. Yeah, that's, oh my God, yeah. Gold toning to my mind is an absolute must, really. Since we only have 30 seconds left, I'm going to go 1 more minute on it. I'm going to go 1 more minute so we get a little bit more of a shift. But can you see that? I don't know if that's translating well. We're going to do 1 more minute, and then we'll fix it. So this little bit of gold tone, this is the 3rd print that I've ran through it, and it's still very viable, still perfectly fine. May be taking just a little bit longer, that's why I gave this in an extra minute, but hey, no problem. Then we'll take a little breather here. Beautiful. I love it. Love it. I'm going to go with that. That's perfect. That's kind of the one that I go for. If I'm going for kind of a sepia warm tone color, that's kind of what I go for there. Let me wash the toner off. And we'll go ahead and throw it in the fix. We should get just a little more pop out of the skull or the jaw, and a little contrast on the thistles too with the fix. We'll see here. Let me just get it rinsed off. Ooh, I like it, yeah. I get it really close, but I'll drip all over the computer. There it is. Okay, I got enough for 2 more here. And here we go. Timer's on, and here we go with the fix. Oh yeah, nice. And then when we dry down, it's just a step process, guys. You have to know what your negative is, what your exposure should be, and then what you're trying to achieve in the end, what you're trying to accomplish through toning, and then know what you're going to get in the fix. I'll just show you this real quick. What's happening here? See? I'm going to throw that. I got to get you guys on a charger here, or I'm going to lose my connection. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, this is beautiful. This is absolutely gorgeous. How far can I go? I got 9% on the battery. I'll go plug you in here. Man, look at that one. I love that tone. I love that color. I love that tone. Just beautiful. Gotta go plug you in. I'll leave that upside down in the wash there, or in the fix. I'm gonna run a little bit of water in there to help it. It's pretty much at the end. I got a minute and a half left. Let me go plug you guys in here so I don't lose you. What do you think? It's pretty cool, isn't it? I like it. I know it's a long, drawn-out process, and people are like, what do I do here? Plugged in, power, so we don't lose the feed. There we go. With 7% left. 7% left. I love that. Love that negative. Boom. So I don't know if we'll get to the 4th one. I mean, I will. I don't know if I want to do it on camera. It's a little hectic. So good. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. I'm glad we got to come in and do some of this stuff. The question is, not the question. The issue is coming up with a negative that will perform well to make these types of prints. And this is just one variant, just one type of pop print, right? There's pigment prints, which is carbon and oil, and there's pop prints, which are printing out papers or printing out process. And the question becomes, do you have, or is your negative good for this process? And at the end of the day, let me go grab that. I'll be right back. That's my fix. Done. I'll put it in the wash. All right. I tried to dry that off just a little bit, but you get an idea of that one, right? I mean, well, that
When you
focus.
had mentioned this last week, it is really amazing how much more detail you see in the print than in the plate itself.
And if you guys could see this in real life, your eyes would crack. There, you know, I mean, I love technology, don't get me wrong, but holding prints up to the camera and stuff, just, I mean, you can get an idea for sure, but it reveals, I mean, if I could show you the detail in those thistles up there, you would it's just unreal. And the color, it's shifting because of this light. But the idea is knowing what you're after. I'm a guy that I'm going to take these gloves off. I'm a guy that likes to have purpose or reason for doing something, especially if I'm working that hard. I like to have a reason of why I'm doing it. I mean, you can have the technical reason, that's great. But if I'm going to go to the cost and time and expense to do something like this, I want to make sure it has value on the concept as well too. So when I can produce, and this will dry down, you'll see another shift in it. When I can produce an image that has some values like that, and the color, I love the color. It's a little bit faded on that one side. I guess probably the toner was a little weak over here, but if I can produce images like that and match the concept of, you know, the memory portion. I have 4 words that hold my work up: memory, identity, difference, and justice. And they're like table legs of my work. And the aesthetic and the materials that I use, I've talked about this a lot, are really important. So when I can achieve things like that, know what I want, know the light, understand what I'm doing, producing the negative that I need to print for these particular processes, it's super satisfying. And it's super satisfying just to go through and get lucky, you know, and find, you know, every once in a while I'm amazed at what can be produced that way. So it's not, it's a great, the journey is important, and I don't want to take anything away from that. But at some point in time, after you have these processes down, you need to have a purpose for those processes, I think. Well, unless you just want to see them technically. Okay, Farid says, thank you. Do you get warmer colors print by toning for long? Actually, Paul, let's go back to Paul's question. This is the warmer tone print, and I'll go get these. I got to go throw this in the wash anyway. But this is. Let me grab that. Hold on, just a second. So Paul's asking a great question. What about toning? Well, it's not only toning, but it's paper as well. This hasn't dried down at all. But look at the difference. And that's what I wanted to show you today. And this is both gold tone, but this is fine art paper, and this is Canson digital Baryta paper. They're both Baryta paper. But the color is just radically different. So toning, and this, it's unfair for this one too, because you can't. So toning makes a difference in color, and the type of paper you use makes a difference in color. So beautiful. Thank you, Pierre. Farid, how long will the varnish behave in contact with the collodion? Very good question, Farid. That's I'm glad you're asking that question. It's really, really important, because you're putting this paper that you've just coated in contact with the surface of your varnished emulsion side image. And it's really important that you let that varnish not only dry, but cure. And I talk about this in my book. I talk about there's a difference between varnishing a plate and having it dry, and varnishing a plate and having it dried and cured. What does the curing part mean? In this case, the curing part means that there's 5%, at least 5% water in your alcohol that you melt the sap down with. And that water needs to leave that varnish. Because the minute you put that varnish in contact with another object and then apply even the smallest amount of heat, you're going to peel that. Off. And I ruined one of my best negatives doing that. You want to see which one it is? It's that negative right there behind me. That one right there. You want to see it? I don't know if I want to show it to you. So, asking the question, how long? 1 week here, 2 weeks where you're at. 2 weeks sitting in a dry, free-flowing environment to let that cure, at least. And you wouldn't hurt to let it go 3 weeks. Let me show you that negative. And I ruined it because I didn't do that. And it really pisses me off. It really breaks my heart to even show you guys this. That's that image behind that one over there. Oh. Maybe I should try to print it again. Wow, I thought I peeled it. Well, I did. I peeled a bunch of that varnish off the back of it. So that's really important to make sure that you allow those plates after you varnished them to dry and cure. Oh, Pierre, I wish I could visit Rivalite. I wish so bad, but unfortunately, I am moving off the grid this year, and I'm trying to get as many of these videos in and chat with you guys as much as possible before I go up on the mountain. I'll resume this once I'm set up, but I won't be doing any traveling. I'll be moving, and I wish I could, though. I love it very much. Me gusta mucho. España es muy bonita. Me gusta mucho. Yo espero, pero no es it's not possible. And with my 10 fish tanks, I guess, warming it. Yeah, Fareed's funny. He was having some varnishing issues, and I said, you got to watch your relative humidity. He says, oh, I got 10 fish tanks around me. I said, oh my God, your humidity level. Dry and cool is best for collodion. Dry, dark, and cool. If you keep that in mind, if your humidity's up a little bit, you're going to have problems. If your heat's too high, you're going to have problems in various steps of the process, right?
It's never going to happen, I guess.
You just maybe you have to wait a month or two. I wish there were a way to test to see if the varnish is absolutely cured. Another thing is you absolutely let your paper dry completely. That's another thing. I was pushing these. Everything we've done this morning, I poured either right in front of you or an hour before you came online. So I live in a very dry environment here in Colorado. We're in the high desert, so the humidity today it might be 15%. I don't know. In the wintertime, it'll get down into single digits. Not so pleasant for your skin and things sometimes, but definitely Collodion loves it. So it just depends on. I would leave them for 2 weeks in a humid area. 2 weeks, maybe even longer, before you start laying it down on paper and trying to print it out, because you can run into problems. Well, I would love to meet you as well, Pierre. That would be wonderful. I'd love to meet you there. I had such a good time in Barcelona. I went, when we lived in Germany, we spent a lot of time in Paris and a lot of time in Barcelona, and they were just such wonderful places. Any chance without varnish? Yes. This is not varnished. So if you're really careful, you'll still scratch them up. You can probably see the spoon is scratched right there. But that's what happens. You scratch up. I do all kinds of tests, right? Not with real images, but I test images out. Yes, if you're very careful and you don't slide them around on the paper and scratch the surface, yes, very possible. So make your negatives. I'm going to have to finish these other prints at another time, but you get the idea. Beautiful. Once these dry down, I'll show them to you once they're all dried down. I need to go throw them back in the wash anyway, and Peter's is in there. I might do Peter's on one of these too, just for a color show. I'll send him a couple of those. And if you're interested, I'm going to offer that last book. I'm going to offer another print. I'm going to offer a print with that. So if you're interested in grab one of those books, I have 46 books left, and I need to have them gone by June when I leave, May, June, and because I can't do this stuff up on the mountain, so I need to have it done. All my chemistry and everything's going to be broken down anyway. I'll be building a house, so I won't be able to do any of this for a few months. So next week, I have a workshop with John Graybill. If you guys know who he is, Edward Curtis, the Vanishing Race, the late 19th and early 20th century photographer. His great-grandson is going to be here. I've worked with him before, he and his wife Colleen, and we're going to do this. We're going to make prints, pop prints, teach him how to do these pop prints live. So next Saturday I won't be here. I think I've got it scheduled for Sunday that we'll do chemistry safety, and I'll go through all these chemicals and tell you how I treat them, how I handle them, tell you about my blood work, all that stuff. Is it worth using matte paper, or will it be glossy anyway because of the collodion? No, it won't be glossy because of the collodion. It'll have matte paper. The base you use will make a difference. You can see the difference. It won't be matte, but it will be more dull than the glossy stuff. Just depends on what you want. But there will be. I mean, you can see how glossy that stuff is, right? I mean, it's pretty glossy. And that's Canson, and this is the Fine Art paper. They're both quite glossy. There's still some water on that. But yeah, glossy paper, matte paper, they do kind of make a difference if you're into that. So check that out. Wow. Anything else? I didn't know it was 12 o'clock. We've been at it for 2 hours. I thought we'd go a little longer, but it's great to have you guys in. If you have anything and you want to jump in here, let me know. Absolutely, Fareed. I'm happy to help you when I can. I'm always happy to help, and I thank everybody. I owe a great debt of gratitude and thanks to all of you guys that have supported me over the years, or the new guys that have come in and supported me. I love doing this. It's a passion of mine. I love making things, so I love making photographs. I love making knives. I love building things. I just love working with my hands. I love the computer's great. You know, it's a necessary kind of thing you have to do, but I don't find a whole lot of satisfaction in sitting at a keyboard all day or in Photoshop or any of that. I mean, it's great to do what you need to do. I like tangible things. I like to be able to hold up a print that I made, or have a negative that I can print, you know, tangible stuff that's in the real world. So you guys, a lot of you guys have allowed me to do that. So I greatly appreciate it. And thank you, Peter, Mr. O'Donnell, and the patron in Poland and Michigan. And I'll get these prints set out to you Monday. Actually, Monday. I said Monday. That's not true. It's a federal holiday here. The post isn't running Monday, so it will actually be Tuesday. I'll get the books out with the prints in them, and I'll just send you a couple variations, so you can have a couple of my prints. And if you're interested, buy a book off my website. I'm happy to make you a print and send it along. They're beautiful. You get them matted up and put up in a nice little frame. They're gorgeous. They're beautiful. And if you like the story of the American West and how, you know, the Native Americans, this is all based. There's no portraits in this work. It's just portraits of the landscape. But the stories are just absolutely stunning. Awful, actually. But a lot of the quotes that I take are either from congressional testimony or Senate testimony about what happened in 1864 and 69, or Beecher Island, 67, 68, and then I cite some other sources in there. So if you're interested, greatly appreciate it. Paul says, my work has improved considerably once I settled on using your recipes. Oh, well, wonderful. Thank you, Paul. I like to keep it simple. Just a note, I've had a couple of emails in the last week. I'll just shift gears real quick here before I sign off. Someone wrote me, it was from Germany actually. Someone wrote me and asked me, do you have examples of your recipe, Collodion recipes, and examples of the images it provides. And let me tell you something, guys. That Collodion recipe stuff is a joke. I mean, it's not. There are 2 salts, an iodide and a bromide, and any variation of that will produce either a longer shelf life, higher contrast, shorter shelf life, not as stout images, weaker negatives. There's a whole list of things that they will produce, but to say that I'm using, Old Dead Lady and Mountain Home Horse and all these different names, it doesn't matter. If you start with a good iodide and a good bromide, I like NH4I, I like ammonium iodide, and I like cadmium bromide, and you start out with that, you make simple positives. As that gets older and a little more red, switch it over to negatives and make some negatives with it, or soup up your new collodion with it. Or if you like the Ki, if you like the potassium iodide and you don't mind the sediment and filtering that stuff off, use that. You get a little longer shelf life. Speed-wise, we're talking ISO 1 versus ISO 3. It's not going to make a whole lot of difference. So if you don't have a fast lens or enough light, you might look at that rather than looking at Collodion recipes. It's just kind of a, and nothing against people selling the stuff, but it's kind of a sales pitch. That way, it's kind of a farce in a way. So I encourage people to buy the raw chemistry, experiment with a couple of basic recipes. Mine are just taken, modified a little bit from Waldeck's book in, I think, 67 or 1872, somewhere in there, 1867 to 72, somewhere in there, modified a little bit, and I basically just use the same recipes all the time. If you like my stuff, if you like the negatives, if you like the positives, that's what I use. And then the biggest portion comes from the light I use and the lens, the optic I use. So if you match those three things up, your light, your optics, and your chemistry, and you've got a good feel for what's going on, you'll produce great images. The images you want to produce, depending on, some people like the artifacts and all that stuff. So you're very welcome, Troy. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it greatly, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Is there anything else? I'll give a few seconds for the delay. I'm going to get these back in the wash in there, wash them out, and let them dry in situ, as they say, in place. I do. I'm partial to that color of print. I really am. How close can I get with that? That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Quinn, this question's a little off topic, but
yeah.
In your book, I was mixing up some of your developer.
Yes.
Positive developer. And you mentioned that the small amount of alcohol that's added is not necessary if your silver bath is really fresh. Why is that?
Yeah.
I would have thought that the alcohol will affect the viscosity of the developer and the flow over the plate, which wouldn't matter really.
You're correct. You're correct, Pat. And I say even beyond that, if you're brand new silver developer, eliminate the alcohol from the developer altogether. Yeah. Once you push plates in there, or the two solvents in the collodion, or alcohol and ether, once those start building up, it starts resisting that carrier DH2, or the water in the developer and the iron and the vinegar or the acid. And you have to kind of match heads with it so it flows over and you don't get the starts and stops or the big developer islands. But it does take some of the density away. So if you're looking for maximum density, and you can get away, a silver bath, you can get away for quite a while without putting a whole lot of alcohol in your developer. And that is true. Your developer with the alcohol in it is for flow. So when you pour your developer out over your plate, it flows out all over the plate. If it starts and stops, you'll get what's called sweeps. And sometimes it'll creep around in one certain area that might be drying out or might whatever, and it'll create an island and it'll leave holes, black holes, black holes. It would be on metal or clear glass. It'll be see-through on glass and black on metal. So the alcohol you need once you start seeing flowing problems. But you don't really need it until then. And you can, I think I said in a couple of videos ago, I talked about experimenting with the least amount of alcohol you can get away with in your developer. Anything else? Let's see. Using a photo dryer. Yes. I have a heat press for Reed. It's just around the corner here. I use a sheet of rag paper, acid-free paper that I'll flatten these out with. I'll put the paper over there, put it on low heat, and just flatten them out. You don't want to let the cloth, they're usually cloth or some kind of top and bottom on that. You don't want them, just a nice clean. I use the slate paper. It's a really cold press. It's really hard paper, acid-free, and low heat, flatten them out. Albumin paper as well too. Yeah, I like the heat press. That's what these will actually end up going in. So,
Quinn, I have a question.
Please.
So, with printing,
Yeah.
printing out, do you ever find a need to dodge and burn, and can you do that?
No, I don't find a need to dodge and burn. To some degree, you can. But that's going to be done with the pencil on the actual negative itself. So I think I showed you one time when you were here, the big, large negatives that I have where they touched up on the emulsion side, the faces, took all the wrinkles out of the old people's face to print. You can actually kind of Photoshop with a lead pencil the negatives, and that would be dodging and burning. Dodging and burning doesn't really work with printing out. That's more of a develop out or enlargement type of scenario where the paper's chemically processed. So typically you'd want your negative to reveal the proper light and the structure of the negative all through the process from the clear glass all the way to the densest silver, D-Min D-Max. Yeah. Does that make sense? Let's see. Anything else? I'll look at the chat real quick. I'm going to call it a morning, a day. I will continue printing on these things, and I'll get all these out Tuesday for everybody that's got one. And if not, come back next Sunday and check out. Oh, there's a chat in here as well too. Check out, let's see, let me just make sure it is next Sunday. Is that what I marked it as? I think it is, I'm going to do a chemical safety thing next Sunday. I'm going to do that workshop with John and Colleen on Saturday. And videos, chemical, where is it? I don't see it here. I better go to all my videos, huh? Did I lose it? I thought I had it up here. Maybe it's on Facebag. So I think it's next Sunday. I'll just clarify that though real quick, just to be sure. Safety, chemical handling, storage, use, and handling. Yeah. So people that don't want to use cadmium bromide, people that don't want to use a little harsher of the chemicals, I'll talk about the differences and what you can and can't do. Let's see how you keep safe. Let's see. I think I changed this though. I did. God, I can't find it now. No wonder people can't find it. What are you talking about? 7 days, February 23rd. Oh, the 20. Yeah, that's right. Sunday. Yep. So it is. A week from tomorrow. Hop on in if you can. I'll go over a bunch of chemistry. I'll talk about the big ones. I'm going to read some excerpts from Dangers in the Dark. It's a great publication by Bill J. Talk about some of the more common problems they had in the 19th century with this stuff, and maybe do a little follow-up on these pop prints. We'll see. So guys, ladies, I appreciate it. You've been wonderful. Thanks for coming in. Stay in contact. It would be great to chat with other participants as well. A wildlife photographer in Africa, new to the dark. Oh, great. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Very, very kind and gracious.
Thank you, Quinn.
Thank you. I'll see you next week, hopefully. Have the rest of the great weekend, and we will catch you next Sunday. Thanks for coming in, everybody. Ciao.
Thanks a lot, Quinn.
Okay,
Bye.
ciao. Bye-bye.
Queen.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.